Hello, my name is Andy Seaton, Senior Instructor of Combat Fusion Martial Arts. Well, welcome to this info pod on the Kenpo technique, Gifted Destruction. This is the continuing series of info pods that deal with techniques of the Orange Belt syllabus. Before we progress on, I'd just like to point out to people who view these videos that these are the ideas we use at Combat Fusion Martial Arts. We're not saying this is the only way you can do any technique or some of the other videos, any forms or katas in the Kenpo system. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're just trying to change the rims and the tires occasionally. It would be pointless for me to put all this work into the videos just to regurgitate stuff that people have already placed up onto YouTube. So please bear in mind that the videos we present are our views, but they're not the only view. So, with that being said, we'll get straight on to Gifted Destruction. One of the main questions I am asked by novice students in reference to this technique is, why defend against a friendly gesture? Now, although a handshake is generally thought of as friendly, it is not an indication of intent. Other aspects should be taken into account which expose the true intention of our opponent. The handshake in Kenpo is termed a gift. You are voluntarily surrendering a natural weapon to a potential opponent, literally giving them a gift. The name Gift of Destruction comes from the need to step up from a friendly gesture to a destructive one in response to our opponent's aggressive attitude. Whatever the attitude, so be the response. The initial move of this technique is to get off your opponent's line of attack. This is achieved by stepping forward on a 45-degree angle to the outside of his body. At the same time with the step, jerk your opponent's arm diagonally down and past your rear hip. As you do this, rotate your opponent's arm so it ends palm up and elbow down. The step and jerk cancels your opponent's width and distresses his height. This places his body between you and his ability to counterstrike. His body becomes a blockade. Simultaneously deliver a heel palm upward into your opponent's elbow joint, which has been presented efficiently by the jerk down and rotation of your opponent's arm. Immediately upon impact of the upward heel palm, have your striking hand rotate inward on top of your opponent's arm in preparation to act as a check. Now drive your rear leg forward to deliver a front knee kick to your opponent's groin. This strike completes the cancellation of his remaining dimensions of height and depth. Immediately continue by planting your foot inside your opponent's lead leg to buckle it at the knee joint. As you plant your foot, simultaneously use marriage of gravity to push check your opponent's arm down into his own groin, thereby keeping his height down and head forward, to meet an inward elbow delivered by your lead arm to your opponent's jaw. Take note of the checking hand still in place. At this point, we will continue on to study the extension to Gifted Destruction. If you do not require this information at your stage of training, you may wish to bypass the following section. From the inward elbow strike to your opponent's jaw. Drop the elbow to take over, policing the checking of your opponent's arms, as the previously checking arm is released to now deliver an inward horizontal 5-finger claw to his face. Simultaneously with this claw, have your rear foot move up the circle to enable directional harmony between the claw and the foot maneuver. End these combined moves with your line of attack intersecting your opponent's line of attack. Now reverse the direction of your claw to execute an outward-downward diagonal 5-finger claw. This strike turns your opponent's head into a simultaneously executed outward vertical to extended strike, impacting on his nose, which pushes your opponent's head away. The outward 5-finger claw now takes over the checking of your opponent's arms to prevent yourself being hit by a potential reorbit movement. Now have your outward strike reverse its direction, pulling your opponent's head back towards you by impacting on his jaw hinge. Complete this move by dropping your striking arm to impact across your opponent's upper abdominal area, combined with an overhead claw from your free hand to his face. Immediately rebound your lead arm to strike with an inner elbow to your opponent's chin as you rip down on his face with the claw. From here, front crossover and cover out.
Hello and welcome back. Now, before we progress on to our usual examples of things that can alter within techniques, I'd like you to look at this phrase. It says that there are basically 4 handshake techniques within the Kenpo syllabus. Now, although this statement is true, there's something else I'd like you to look at, and that is this statement. And that is that a handshake is no more than an undershot wrist grab. So, if that is true, then this must also be true. And that is that a wrist grab is nothing more than an overshot handshake. I'm just going to leave you with that. Just think about those phrases and the statements, and they will open up other options to handshakes and wrist grabs. So, let's get on to our first example. We're looking at the basic technique. We're not progressing into the extension or alternate extension. We're just putting something into the technique that doesn't go right. In this first example, my opponent attacks, but I don't cancel his zones as the way I should do. And as I go to do the heel palm to his elbow, my hand slips underneath his elbow and my partner is able to grab it. The answer we formulate for this is to incorporate the technique maneuver from cross of destruction. You will see how this allows us then to continue on and finish the technique, which is the objective of these, is to finish the technique in the prescribed manner with the prescribed extension. Okay, so let's have a look at number 2. Now, number 2 is in the same vein. Something hasn't gone correct with the opening movement and my partner's dimensions have not been cancelled. But in this case, I do the heel palm correctly, but as I go to do the hand over, then my partner grabs my wrist and tries to counterlock. Again, the objective is to carry on with the technique and finish out with the prescribed extension. Okay, now on to our final technique. In this example, we're just doing something simple that can happen quite easily, is as you go to do the opening movement, your partner's grip loosens on your hand and it becomes a free agent. You're no longer holding the hand in the handshake, so he has no control over you, but you also have no control over him. So in that option, we then progress on to another Kenpo technique and finish out with leaping crane, but also we keep to the prescribed extension for gifted destruction, but this time executed to the rear of the body. Okay, so that's the end of our video on the technique gifted destruction. I hope you found it of use. Remember, these are just our views and there's plenty of other different views out there as well. But if you found this video of interest and you haven't done so already, please think about subscribing to our channel. And don't forget to give the video a like so it blasts us up there in the algorithms of YouTube. And if you can, give it a share so other people see what we've got to offer. Thank you again for joining us here at Combat Fusion Martial Arts. This is Andy Seetherton saying goodbye.